Good morning, welcome to Sunday School. Before we start our story, we're going to have a little look at the different things I've got here and think about how we use them. I've got some wellies that can be used for jumping up and down in muddy puddles maybe. I've got a ball we might kick around if we're playing outside. And I've got some trainers that we might use if we're doing some sports or some running around outside. All of these things need our legs to be working really well. There's lots of different things we can do with our legs. We can jump, we can run, we can walk, we can hop, we can kick a ball. So many different things we use our legs for. Today we're going to hear a story about somebody whose legs weren't working very well and find out about how God helped him through a man named Peter. Today's story is called The Lame Man and it's from Acts chapter 3 verses 1 to 10. One day Peter and John were going to the temple. They saw a man who could not walk. He had not been able to walk for the whole of his life. The man was begging for money. Peter told him, "We have no silver or gold, but we will give you what we do have. In Jesus' name, stand up and walk." Immediately the man jumped up. His legs were strong. He began walking and leaping and praising God. All the people who saw him were amazed. Peter told the people, "We did not make this man walk. Jesus did." Many more people believed in Jesus that day. So let's see what you can remember from that story. I'm going to read out some sentences and I want you to see if you can work out who I'm talking about. First one, they were on their way to the temple to pray. Who was that? It was Peter and John, wasn't it? He told the man to walk. That was Peter. He jumped to his feet and praised God. That was the lame man after he was healed. They were amazed that he could now walk. That was the people when they were watching and saw what had happened. He really healed the man. Who was that, do you think? Who really healed the man? It was God. God healed the man working through Peter. So in that story we heard how Peter, with God working through him, healed the lame man who then jumped around praising God. So we're going to make a little craft now to help to remind us of this story. So you'll need some glue, you'll need a pencil and some paper. I've already made a head start on mine. So what you need to do is cut out a circle, and that's going to be the head for your person, and then cut out a rectangle for the body. I'm just going to draw a quick face on mine. So we'll draw a nice smiley face. And then you need two smaller rectangles. These are going to be the arms, so we'll stick them on. Just a little bit of glue. And then, it's a very simple activity, I'm sure you can make yours a bit more exciting than this. We're going to make some legs for the man, but because we heard in the story about how when he was healed, he jumped up and was praising God, we're going to make some jumping legs. So instead of just sticking the plain piece of paper on like this, we're going to make our legs look like they're jumping. So what you need to do is get your piece of paper and you need to fold it over and then turn it back and fold it back the other way. A bit like a zigzag, like you're making a fan. And that's going to make the legs look like jumping legs, okay? So you need to do that with two pieces of paper. I'd make your legs quite long and then they look extra jumpy. So you should end up with two pieces of paper, a bit like this, okay? Then we're going to pop a little bit of glue on the end of each one and fix them onto the body. And then, here we go, you've got your jumping man. So you can remember about how God healed him working through Peter and he jumped up and praised God.
Good morning. Right, we're going to play a little game now. Following that story about God working through Peter, I've got some situations written down here for us to think about how God can work through us. But I've also got a timer. I'm going to put 2 minutes on the timer and we'll see how many of these we can think through. Okay? Are you ready? What ways can God work through you? Let's start the timer. Ready, steady, go. Right, first one. My friend is very sick. He's missed lots of school and I hear he's very sad. How could God work through us in that situation? Have a think. How could God work through us? Right, next one. We'll come back to all these in a minute. A good friend of mine doesn't go to church and doesn't seem to know much about Jesus. How can God work through us? Have a think. Another one. My friend's parents are getting a divorce. He's really worried and sad. How can God work through us? Next one. I heard Mum say that our elderly neighbour is lonely. How can God work through us? A boy at school gets laughed at and bullied. How can God work through us? What could happen? A new girl at school seems very sad. She doesn't seem to have any friends. How can God work through us? My younger brother failed a maths test. He doesn't know what to do. How can God work through us? Another one. A good friend is sad that he's moving far away. How can God work through us? Our Sunday school teacher told us about orphans in Syria who have a lot of needs. How can God work through us? Another one, I think we might just have time for it. My best friend's dad is really poorly. Time up. That last one was, my best friend's dad is really poorly. How can God work through us? So many situations, but did you think of any answers? I'd love to know what you thought of. Some things Ruth and I thought of were perhaps we could be praying for somebody, asking for God to help encourage them and be with them so they feel cheered up. Perhaps there's practical things we could do. If it's somebody who was all about failing a maths test or somebody being sad and lonely, perhaps we could help out. We could go through the maths with them. We could visit somebody. We could write them a letter. We could give them a phone call. Sometimes God works through us just by being there when our friends need someone to talk to. Or we can just be there to listen even when we can't fix all the problems. So there's lots of different ways we could help people and let God work through us for his plan. Most of us aren't going to heal somebody in the way that Peter did. But if we're willing and we belong to God, God can still work through us. We just have to be willing to let him do it. We have to be ready to say, I see a need, Lord, help me, and then we'll go and do whatever help it is that's needed. Right, I've got something to show you. I'm hoping it's going to come across on the camera. I want you to look at a picture from our house. Can you see it? Can you see how it's really messy? Can you work out what the picture's of? It's the back of a piece of sewing. Can you see what the picture is? I'll show you the front, but I will say this happens to be a Pokemon. Here it is in the front. So you may not have recognised it anyway. But can you see how the front is so much neater? The back's got little lines and funny bits and bits running through where the stitches have gone together. The front shows the picture where you want it to be. Now sometimes our lives can feel like the back of this tapestry, this bit of sewing. When it's all muddledy and there's bits going everywhere and you can't really see what the picture's going to be, it sometimes feels like God's not using us at all and he's not in control. But sometimes we get a glimpse of our lives the way they're supposed to be, when you can see the big picture, and our lives are beautiful because God's working through us, helping us and encouraging us. Our challenge this week is to talk to God and ask him to help you learn how to help, to listen for when you're needed, and see if you can help somebody who's sad or discouraged. Ask him to help you know who really needs some prayer this week. And remember that God can work through you if you let him help. Have a good week and we'll see you soon. Bye.